Hey guys, it's Chris. Welcome back to the channel. And today we are just going to listen to this short video I found. It actually came up on my main page of YouTube as a suggestion. It's from a channel called Dr. Suneel Dhand, and it says shocking advice from U.S. authorities to diabetics. It was posted 7 days ago, and I haven't watched it, but I've been scrubbing through it just to see if he shares anything in particular and to get a thumbnail. And the comments seem like it's pretty interesting, and I think that he has something relevant to say. So he is sped up for time. I will link this full video down below, and let's see if he has something interesting to say. So let's let him get into it.
Hello everyone, Dr. Suneel Dhand, internal medicine physician. Welcome to another video.
Okay, so he is a doctor. He's an internal medicine doctor, so okay.
I want to share with you in this video a great piece of advice if you want to have diabetes, or perhaps more accurately, if you already have diabetes and want to keep it raging.
So if you want diabetes, or if you have diabetes and you want to keep it raging, in his words. So let's hear what he has to say.
Type 2 diabetes specifically is absolutely soaring right now across all age groups. It is.
Diabetes used to be called sugar, first of all. And it used to be type 1 and type 2 is not called type 1 and type 2. Type 1 used to be called juvenile diabetes because it's the one you're pretty much born with. And type 2 used to be called adult onset diabetes because people weren't getting it until they were adults. And I mean sometimes well into their 60s, 70s, 80s. So yeah, now that more kids are getting type 2 diabetes and younger people, we had to change it to type 1 and type 2.
alarming. Perhaps most worryingly in teenagers, we're seeing a pandemic of type 2 diabetes. But as I said, this is occurring at all ages.
That is insane, by the way, guys. That, like I said, people used to not get this until they were in their 50s, 60s, 70s. And now teenagers are getting diagnosed with legit type 2 diabetes. That's a horrifying statistic.
And this goes hand in hand with the obesity crisis and the addiction, unfortunately, not just in America, but to be fair, across the Western world, the addiction to ultra-processed foods, refined carbohydrates, and sugars.
Especially countries that either adopt the standard American diet or use America's dietary guidelines as an outline or a set of guidelines for their country's particular guidelines. So it's effectively tainted many parts of the world, the U.S. government's suggestions on eating, the way they teach us to eat, the way they teach diabetics to teach people to eat, the foods they push are immensely dangerous. The way they teach us to eat, it's unhealthy, it's bad. They push processed food, too many processed, refined, packaged things, too much sugar, too much refined carbohydrates, not enough good fats, low animal products. It's horrendous. So this guy is absolutely really on point. I'm gonna have to check out more of his stuff, but at least he's calling it out the way it should be, because a lot of people say, oh, this is all conspiracy theory. The government doesn't want to keep you safe. Yes, they do. Our government, there are some governments that maybe care about the health and well-being of their citizens. The U.S. is not one of those countries. Our government stopped giving a crap about our well-being a long time ago. They care about not having us healthy and not having us dead. There's no money in that. They want us in the middle, alive and sick, eating all this super ultra processed refined food, making all those people money, and then being on medications, all these pharmaceuticals, and relying on all their medical care for many years until we finally croak. So, yeah.
And it would be nice to have good leadership when it came to type 2 diabetes, because the ironic thing is that 100 years ago, wise doctors in both the East and the West knew how to treat type 2 diabetes far better than we do today, under the influence of big business interests and also the pharmaceutical industry. And
exactly. It rules the world. It really does.
Take it from me, type 2 diabetes does not need to be a life sentence, as the current system sets people up for.
Exactly. Like, he is actually sitting there telling you what they tell you to do. The system that for how they treat diabetes, go through the diagnostic procedures, how they tell you to eat, it absolutely sets you up to not get better and, in fact, slowly and chronically get worse.
It is very reversible naturally, and that forms a core part of the work I am doing at the moment.
And whenever you're reversing it naturally on your own with diet and stuff, especially whole foods, one, the big food companies and big agro is not making money. And then big pharma is not making money off of you. They don't want you doing this naturally on your own. No way.
But wouldn't it be nice to know that we had good organizations that were leading this charge? Look no further than the American Diabetes Association. This is a massive organization. Last time I checked, they
whatever they tell you to do for your diabetes, the American Diabetic Association, you should do the opposite. Same with the people put all their faith and trust in the recommendations and stuff from the ADA and the American Heart Association and the WHO and all that. It's all awful. All of these big entities are funded largely and mostly by donations and stuff from big food companies, from Nestle, from ConAgra, from Big Pharma. And do you really think that those companies are going to give these organizations tons of money to turn around and have these organizations tell people that the food and products and meds that they make are bad? No, 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 no. It's all a vested interest in making money. And not only that, but fat, sick people are weak and much easier to control. They're basically spaying and neutering us via our diet and lifestyle guidelines, right?
They had an annual revenue of over $100 million. Think about that for a moment. Why would any organization, or shall I call them a company, want to end or reverse diabetes or even cure it when they're making so much money from more people being diagnosed with the illness?
Exactly, $100 million. That is freaking insane. And, you think 100 million would be enough. You think 20, 30 million would be enough, but it's not. No matter how much these big entities, these big corporations make, they want more. It's very much inspired by just the most incessant greed you'll ever see in your life.
Reflect on that for a moment. And unfortunately, the situation in the United States has drastically declined. It was not like this when I first moved here. Over the last few years, we have experienced more and more clown leadership in many different areas.
He said clown leadership. That's great. That's calling it like he sees it.
No more so than in healthcare, with our main organizations, our physician societies, and the organizations which are supposed to be helping people.
And they're not. Like I said, they operate under the guise of helping, but they're really just keeping you sick as hell. So people go, oh, that's like a tinfoil hat theory. No, it's absolutely not. Not in America.
And look no further than the American Diabetes Association.
Oh, I know where this is going, because this video only came out 7 days ago, and I know what, or more likely who he's going to talk about.
Because I'm going to share with you their latest piece of advice, shared on social media. Wouldn't it be nice if they were really leading the charge against type 2 diabetes and obesity?
Oh, they're leading you to diabetes and obesity, not away from it, to it, directly to it.
But look at this here from Stacy, the Director of Nutrition and Wellness at the American Diabetes Association.
Yep, that's who I thought he was talking about, and I was right.
Actually, if you look at her CV, she has previously worked for Kellogg's. Now,
she worked for Kellogg's for 6 or 7 years as a marketing director or something like that before being hired by the American Dietetic Association to push things like cereal and refined carbs and stuff like that, not just on people, but on freaking diabetics. And keep in mind that this woman is extremely overweight and unhealthy looking herself. So, yeah.
I would have been surprised by that maybe a few years ago, but not surprised anymore. That is how things work at the top of the healthcare field, a revolving door of conflicts of interest.
Amen. I mean, this guy is really just telling it like it is. I give him a lot of credit.
And guess what happens in the meantime? People get sicker and sicker. So let's look at what Stacey had to say. What advice did she share for diabetics on the social media feed of the American Diabetes Association?
This is horrible, by the way.
Nutrition advice here. Let's take a look.
Hello, everyone. I'm Stacey, the Director of Nutrition and Wellness at the ADA. We get asked a lot about where to start for meal planning for people diagnosed with prediabetes or diabetes.
This woman is probably has prediabetes herself, if not full-blown diabetes. It's like, why would you take advice from this woman?
A simple start is using the diabetes plate method. Find a 9-inch plate. These are usually the smaller luncheon or salad plates in your dinnerware set.
Yet she knows damn well every place in America supersizes portions to the max. We have a horrible case of portion distortion in this country, and that people are not going to eat less. They eat too often, and that the foods that they push and they encourage are engineered, not cooked. Notice I didn't say cooked or baked or they're engineered to make you eat more, to override your hunger and fullness cues. So, yeah.
Fill half the plate with non-starchy vegetables like leafy greens, green beans, broccoli, and then 1/4 of the plate from lean protein and the remaining quarter section of your quality carbohydrate choice.
She's telling diabetics for every meal to eat 1/3 of their plate with a carbohydrate like rice, potatoes, pasta, bread. You shouldn't be having that for every meal if you're a non-diabetic. But if you're overweight or a diabetic, or especially an overweight diabetic, that's horrid advice. Also pushing the lean meat, that's very antiquated. That's bad for you. You need good fats. There's nothing wrong with whole, natural fats from animal products. Even saturated fats are not bad. It is the trans fats, the canola, soybeans, sunflower, margarine, oil, the stuff like that this woman probably pushes that are horrendously bad for you. They create an immense amount of oxidative stress in your system, which causes a ton of inflammation and all the problems that come with it. So she just gives absolutely horrendous advice. Horrendous advice.
Such as starchy vegetables, rice, pasta, bread.
Telling freaking diabetics to eat goddamn pasta and potatoes and bread. And I'm sorry, but when you're a diabetic, like all of that stuff, guys, turns to glucose in your body. The same as sugar does, except it may come with a couple more nutrients or it may be slower acting, but it is the same damn thing. So it is not good for you either way, especially when you're a freaking diabetic. This makes me so mad because this woman is like, she's a terroristic weapon against the American people. Like, she's a weapon of mass destruction. And I know that seems crazy, but they are hurting people in mass quantities with this advice.
Drink calorie-free beverages for hydration. And as you get familiar with the amounts, it's easier to incorporate combination foods. But when in
And this is all working out for you then, Stacey?
doubt, eat more non-starchy veggies. Check out the article linked below for more information.
Did you hear that? Absolutely terrible, shocking advice there to a type 2 diabetic. I don't know where to start. I have so many thoughts. I could probably make a 2-hour-long video on my response just to that little clip. But let's start off with some basics and then we'll get to the main point. I don't think there's enough protein there. They haven't prioritized protein.
No, they should definitely have more proteins, some good fats. Those are both very satiating. Keep your blood sugar more stable, keep you fuller for longer. The freaking telling a diabetic to have a carb with every meal is just, it's unethical.
I think there's probably too many starchy vegetables, but the main part is this obsession with giving type 2 diabetics carbohydrates. 1/4 of the plate for rice, for pasta, for bread. Really? consistently every day, that's what you want to do. In fact, if you go to the American Diabetes Association website, they have whole sections dedicated to how to give type 2 diabetics sugary desserts. This
You're giving sugar to somebody with a disease that used to be called sugar.
is utterly ludicrous. You're taking someone, a type 2 diabetic whose body can't process carbohydrates, and you're pummeling them with carbohydrates. How can that possibly make sense?
Constantly, too. For every meal and every snack, telling them to snack on things like fruit and stuff, too, which I'm sorry, it's more natural, but it is still sugar. And to drink juice and stuff like that. I mean, my God, why don't you just tell these people, can we just chop your toe off now? Can we just take a foot right now and get it over with? Because that's what's going to happen.
It can only possibly make sense for three different reasons. Number one, either you are completely ignorant about how type 2 diabetes works.
That's probably part of it.
And that it is a problem of insulin resistance. I do not believe that that is the case. They cannot possibly be that ignorant. Number
Oh, they could be.
two, they secretly want to create a recurrent customer base. And
That is absolutely it.
as rates of this illness continue to soar, it's more and more money flowing in. Very possible that's the case. Or number three, they don't want to do anything which might jeopardize their big pharma sponsors who give
That is part of it too. That is absolutely a part of it. They will never admit those last two, but I guarantee that's the case.
them millions of dollars every year. Hey, if people out there start reversing type 2 diabetes naturally, then what's going to happen to the need for medications? I don't like to think that that's the case, but you never know. Nothing
Oh, I think it absolutely is. You can call me a conspiracy theorist all you want. I own it, but that is absolutely the case. They are some of the most greedy bastards on the planet.
would surprise me these days. Type 2 diabetes is a problem of insulin resistance. People have way too much insulin in them that they are secreting because their bodies are overwhelmed, usually with an unhealthy lifestyle that they've had for many years.
Yes, and then what they do is they put you on things like metformin and stuff, and then when that inevitably starts failing, what do? They prescribe you insulin, actual insulin, and that's horrible because your body is already releasing as a not type 1, as a type 2 diabetic, you are already releasing massive amounts of insulin because your body is resistant to it. It's not sensitive to it. It's not responding to it appropriately. So you're already releasing a ton, much more insulin than you should be. And then they're giving you more. So they're just pumping you more and more full of insulin without actually fixing the problem and taking away the aggravating factor, which is the carbohydrates, the sugar, the glucose, the high elevated blood sugars. So they keep pumping you full of the problem and then handing you the quote solution. And that way they're making money all around. A customer for life, right? Until you die.
So why would the American Diabetes Association be giving people advice that would increase their endogenous insulin levels?
Follow the money.
Makes no sense whatsoever from a scientific standpoint.
It may not make a lot of sense, but it sure as hell makes a lot of dollars.
Is utter rubbish. Again, what a clown world we are living in. And it is so very sad indeed that we are now increasingly in a position that if you want to remain sick with chronic illness, the best thing you can do is listen to advice from the medical industrial complex. Because surely with advice like that, people will stay sick and their illnesses will inevitably keep getting worse. I don't know what else to say. Complete clown world. I am speechless.
His mannerism is so hilarious. He's like so robotic, but he is like so completely accurate. I'll have to check out some more of his stuff, actually.
But if you have any other thoughts or comments, feel free to let me know down below.
I think he's spot on. Yeah, this was just a good little quick video. Let me know what you think. Does that surprise you? Does it not surprise you? I'm telling you guys, this is such a problem. And I think he did a really good job of giving us a nice quick summation, calling it out, and just, I guess, subscribe for more content, leave a comment if you wish to help out the channel, and definitely go give this guy a like and check out this video and some of his other stuff. Yeah, smart guy. So I will see you all in the very next one.